adequately at all. You would forgive us all for concluding that this governor will not countenance any dissent. He will not countenance free speech. I recall him some months ago saying, oh, the Solidarity Sing-Along, it's 20 teachers, who cares? Well, it's more than 20 teachers. There's a lot of people there. And it seems to me it's rubbing him the wrong way, and that is why we are getting this policy. And I would like an answer to that, because I believe that is why we are seeing this policy now.
And again, as I said twice now, timing on that one was because we do have a number of events. And we do want to provide a very clear policy that we can consistently apply to all. And the second reason was, yes, we do have some lawsuits, and we felt it was important in order to address those to have a policy put out at this time.
Are those lawsuits arising from the Solidarity Sing-Along that has been going on for, what, 225 occasions? Do they arise directly from our participation in that event?
They are not. They are more related to, again, it was Ben Rozelle's suit with...
Well, Ben's gone.
Yeah, Ben's gone. The
suit goes on.
And so, and that's the truth. That's the reason for the timing now.
I have what I hope is a quick question. Last week there were some Department of Administration attorneys, and I understand you're not an attorney, but I'd like to get some clarification on this, who asserted that it was illegal to photograph or record Capitol Police in the operation of their duties. And my understanding is that there's been a lot of federal case law that says that is a First Amendment right. And what I just would like to know is just the citation of the administrative code, the statute, or the Constitution where your attorneys believe that is. And I guess I'll have to make that an open records request, since that seems to be how you're handling all that. So I will take that as a formal open records request as to where that... First off, can you confirm that that is in fact the policy of the Department of Administration, that it is illegal to videotape or photograph Capitol Police in the operation of duty? Keep that.
I don't know.
This really isn't a forum for that. This is a forum to discuss the policy.
I'm sorry, but this is directly relevant to the implementation of those policies.
Yes, it is.
And what's your name, ma'am? What is your name?
What's your name?
Jocelyn Webster.
And what's your position?
I'm the communications director at DOA.
Okay. And you have not responded to my previous request for information on this subject, and I called you last week, and I haven't heard back from you, so I'm using this opportunity to ask that question now.
And I don't have knowledge of anything that's the specific incident that you might have seen. I just don't. I can consult with our...
This was at the tree lighting ceremony last week.
Again, I wasn't there. I can't tell you exactly what was exchanged and what was said. Yes, ma'am.
I was there, and I was told not to photograph Capitol Police officers.
Oh,
Flat out.
Would you consider these procedures to be in line with democracy?
I think they're within what was in the administrative code, and I think that has been passed by the legislature. We believe that we're interpreting it appropriately. So yes, I would.
It didn't answer her question.
It didn't answer.
And frankly, whether what I think or not is really not relevant.
You realize that by saying this over and over and over again doesn't make it true, right?
Super quick detail question. Several people have asked me personally what individual has requested this. That's their question.
No, I don't think there was a specific individual. There isn't a specific individual that requested it. It was our interpretation of one of the lawsuits, but also realizing, looking at what we had we didn't have a good policy document for the people to go to, and looking at administrative codes that we've used for years, this was the best way that we could come up with.
When you say we,
that would be the Department of Administration and the legal team. That's my catch. Yep. Secretary, yes.
This gentleman back there.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'll follow up on Tim's question. What role has Scott Walker personally played in these rules? None? So if we did an open records request, we'd find no communication between DOA and Scott Walker?
On this particular issue, no. Actually, let me clarify that. I'm not aware of communication. I'm not aware of any communication that we've had directly with the governor on that.
And with some of the representatives who have been complaining, Paul Farrow, Michelle Litchin, have you had any communication with them?
I'm personally not aware of it. Again, that's probably an open records request too, because then you can do the thorough search. And I should probably say that for the governor's office. I know I hadn't had a specific conversation with them about the specifics of the policy. Sir.
I guess I have concerns about some of the, both the breadth and the vagueness of the policy, especially with regards to the fact that, an organization, or the woman was afraid and rally, and, as a number of people have, and I know you're not responding to that, but people have proposed hypotheticals, and like the committee, for example, you're saying that people who come to a committee. That's not really an event or a rally. But with the fact that these things are so poorly defined, and that the group's more than 4 people, that applies to so many different situations, that it would be very easy for these rules to be kind of waived most of it, not waived, but not really enforced most of the time. I guess there's an opportunity for selective enforcement. You mentioned before that, if you want to come to the Christmas tree lighting and say, God bless America, well, that's okay. But that's kind of a problem, because what if people want to come to the Christmas tree lighting and say, God damn America? I mean, those are the equivalent things, and if you're going to enforce it on people saying, God damn America, but not God bless America, that is a serious problem. And so I guess when you have a policy that's so broad and so vaguely defined that the only way to enforce it is selectively, then that just, you have to, that I guess is the core issue, is that who's going to be making the decisions about when are you actually going to say, you need a permit, whereas this other group of 5 people who came in to say, God damn America, or God bless America for that matter, they didn't need a permit, although there was 5 of them, and they organized, a rally, not a rally, but they said, they got together on Twitter and said, we're going to come and, do this. I mean,
if I can, I think that one of the things we talked about very early on is being consistent. And I think in the issue of what's the 4 people thing, people are looking for more guidance on that. I understand that. But I think it is important, and if we have a group that we don't require to have a permit that sings in the Capitol, and one that does, I think we're not being consistent. So that's what we're looking to do, and being consistent in that.
The point I was making, though, is that these rules are so broad that it is effectively impossible to enforce them consistently with every single group. And so you are not going to, it's physically impossible to enforce them consistently with all groups. And, Chief Tubbs mentioned that there's been a permitting process in place that has not been enforced consistently. And, even if we can't even enforce prior rules consistently, how are we going to enforce these more restrictive rules?
And I don't know that I would say they were more restrictive, but in trying to have a more consistent application of policy, I think that's important for everybody. And it may be something over time, as we learn with how the policy is written today. If there's ways that we can make it more clear and make it more obvious for folks what is and what isn't, we'll work through that. That's going to take some while. And then, again, we're having an educational process here. It's helpful for me. Hopefully it's helpful for you to be able to voice your opinions on it, and we'll continue to take a look at it. These things do evolve over time. Certainly this one does.
One quick request. There's going to be 2 more of these informational hearings. Would it be possible to get DOA's legal counsel to come?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Again, I'm going to have to ask them about that because I know they do have specific
Walls.
I think this is pretty important.
Well,
They're public servants.
Yeah.
I have a
Mine's
question.
a real
I've had my
quick.
hand up for a long time. Chief Tubbs, at several times you have said, and with all due respect, because you are due a lot of respect,
Yes.
and but several times I've heard you say that you're a law enforcement officer, law enforcement professional. Does that, under that title, does it also say rule enforcement professional? And is there somewhere that says that you are able to arrest for breaking rules, for breaking other conduct prohibited? And I guess that's my question. And then I guess this young lady here kind of sums it up with her smirking and her smiling. The whole attitude that this Scott Walker administration, and I don't know if you're a political appointee or how you do your job, but this smirking and laughing and shaking her head in disgust at us sums up perfectly how this administration is handling the First Amendment.
I want to just emphasize again what we said at the start in looking to put this policy in place was to have a policy so people understood it better, that we were more clear about what we're doing. And there's areas for improvement on that clearly. But the number one issue is to provide the opportunity for the chief to be able to ensure that we do have public safety here. That people can express their First Amendment rights in a safe and secure manner.
So it falls
That's
under
the
his,
number one.
but it falls under
What
his
First Amendment
jurisdiction
rights?
to arrest for rules even though he's a law enforcement officer as opposed to a rule enforcement officer?
I think that.
And one other thing, too, that this comes to my mind, I don't want this to slip either, it's not the Capitol Police that we're afraid of. It's the State Patrol goons and the DNR that are up here that we're afraid of. When we get handcuffed and we're being taken down the stairs, is that a safe manner when they only have 1 or 2 people on you? If I fell, how safe would that be for 1 or 2 officers to, how are they going to keep my head from smashing against the marble floor?
People have been thrown to the ground.
But my main question with this is, though, where does it fall in Chief Tubbs or Seiferd's or Mail's or anybody's job description that they arrest for rules violations? And I use that term rules loosely.
And I think it's our opinion that under Chapter 2, we have the ability to put out the policy that we have.
To arrest for rules violations?
The chief can enforce that.
By arresting?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question regarding selective enforcement, and this goes to the policy. If it's 4 or more people, and I think this example of the goddamn versus God bless the tree, since you clearly said that God bless is okay and doesn't require permitting. If there are 4 lobbyists in this building lobbying the legislature and assembling in front of the Senate or the Assembly, and I ask them if they have a permit and they do not have a permit, can I then go to Chief Tubbs and say, Chief Tubbs, these people need to be arrested because they are violating this policy?
And we'll provide more clarification on that. I think that issue has come up. So,
I mean, you clearly understand that this is a problem of selective enforcement. He articulated that.
I understand that there is still some need for further clarification about what the 4-person.
And how will we get that clarification?
I'm going to go back and talk to my team.
And there will be a public.
Is that strike team 1 or strike team 2?
No, I'm asking a serious question. Is this going to be something that's going to be issued as a press release that the communications person will put out and say, here's some clarification, so we can look? I have written on my date book on the 19th, get arrested, because I am assuming that, 16th, I have it on both dates, because I'm assuming that you will not clarify this, and that when I attempt to exercise my right to petition my government and assemble and have political free speech, that I will be arrested. I'd like to know what the consequences of that would be.
Yeah, and to your first question of how we'll communicate that, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Paul Schmidt, WisconsinReporters.com. I have a question related to clarity. You mentioned that clarity is the main goal of the Department of Administration in promulgating these rules. Going back to the question regarding Section 2, Part F, that the state may not be held liable for injury or death of participants in these free speech actions. Again, for clarity purpose, where is the precedent for that in the existing administration code?
I can't answer that question.
Can we get that answer?
Who can?
Maybe your communications director can.
Yeah, where's your communications director?
I think that is a question that has come up. Representative Taylor mentioned that if I could finish, I was first here and a lot of people talked, so I'm going to hold the floor for a little bit here.
Do it.
Representative Taylor mentioned that the number one question that she has received is how cost will be assigned. My number one question, and a question that has been flying over social media, is how do you determine whether an individual's life is worthy of being killed by the state for exercising freedom of speech, and then not being able to hold the state responsible. Also, if a person is injured, if Chief Tubbs and his law enforcement officials wish to pepper spray someone for exercising in free speech, like a group of 4 holding the Constitution in the rotunda, and we decide, the law enforcement decides, the state decides that we will pepper spray them, that citizen, according to the rules, cannot hold the state liable. So I'd like to understand where the precedent behind that is, and what the policy, what's the end game and understanding